The soul question. Death is something most people are afraid of. Many religions sell the concept of life after death to their followers. There are also thriving businesses around so-called past life regression and other bizarre, illogical, irrational, and unscientific practices. This occurs because people lack a fundamental understanding of the self and physical death, leaving them vulnerable to those who exploit their fears with highly imaginative explanations and descriptions of individual souls. This results in unfounded fears and an absence of peace of mind. We then hear about evolved souls, not so evolved souls, fallen souls, soulmates, and even souls that appear to some people who claim to be special. Before we delve into our exploration, consider these questions. 1. After the physical death of a person, how can the soul be identified as theirs, especially when there is no body, face, DNA, fingerprints or blood sample to distinguish it from the souls of others who died? 2. At what stage does the soul enter a new body? 3. Where is the past karma of a person stored? 4. A certain spiritualist leader said that souls fight to acquire a human body because birth as a human is the highest. Now, humans use their brains to think, but what is it that formless souls use to think, strategize, and also fight with other souls? 5. To differentiate between my real estate and my neighbors, there is either a wall, fence, or just a line. And to separate my body from that of another, I have an epidermal boundary commonly known as skin. So what is it that separates souls from each other? 6. Most importantly, what are souls made of, and in what state of matter are they? The Soul Question, a Journey to Clarity. Introduction. Welcome to an exploration that seeks to unravel the deepest mysteries of existence. We embark on a journey through ancient wisdom and rational inquiry to understand the concept of the soul, or Atman, and the essence of life. By the end of this voyage, your mind will be as clear as a tranquil lake, free from myths and misconceptions about life, death, soul, and the afterlife. Inspired by the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and the teachings of the Upanishads, let us look into the profound insights that illuminate the oneness of all existence. The illusion of separation. In Shloka 132 of the Avadhuta Gita, it is stated, distinctions between a pot and the space within do not exist in Brahman. There is neither the individual soul, nor is there the form of the individual soul. Realize the absolute Brahman, which is neither known nor can be made knowable. This powerful pot metaphor challenges the common belief that the soul is a distinct entity that leaves the body upon death. Just as the space within a pot is no different from the space outside, our true essence is not separate from the all-encompassing Brahman. The wisdom of Hippocrates. The Greek physician Hippocrates, known as the father of medicine, eloquently said, "The soul is the same in all living creatures, although the body of each is different." This profound statement resonates with the understanding that while our physical forms may vary, the underlying essence that animates all life is universal and unchanging. Vibhuti and Svarupa, the manifest and the unseen. To comprehend the essence of the Sanskrit term Vibhuti, we must first understand Svarupa, meaning the original form. Consider a wooden door as an example. The door represents the visible form, while its essential substance is wood. Hence, wood serves as the Svarupa, or original essence of the door, while the door itself acts as the Vibhuti, or manifestation of the wood. This analogy illustrates the process of breaking down an object to its fundamental form, which in the case of any physical entity is ultimately an atom. Within this atom there exists space, which is the same all-pervading space. Brahman, the ultimate all-pervading reality in Vedanta, is often described as both containing all things and being contained within them. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyam Samanusmarityah Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Adityavarnam Tamasah Parastad. The Parampurush is the omniscient and most ancient ruler who is more minute than an atom, has an inconceivable divine form, and is beyond the brightness of the sun and the darkness of ignorance. When Brahman or Krishna is the essence of all existence, everything perceived through our senses is a manifestation of this Supreme Self or Paramatma. The unseen reality is his Svarupa, while all that we perceive or experience is his Vibhuti. This perspective is crucial in understanding that what we perceive as individual souls are mere manifestations of the one all-pervading divine principle. Shloka 223. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, nachainam kledayantyapo, nashoshayati marutaha. The soul cannot be cut by weapons. It can't be burned by fire. Water cannot wet it, nor can wind dry it. So, when the soul cannot be cut, where is the question of it being separate in different bodies? The ocean and its waves. Consider the analogy of the ocean and its waves. Waves arise from the ocean and eventually merge back into it. They are not separate entities, but different manifested forms of the ocean itself. Forms come and go, or are born and die, but the base or Svarupa remains unchanged. This analogy helps us grasp that our true self is the same all-pervading consciousness despite the transient nature of our physical forms. The mental sky, Chidakasha. Everything that exists must exist within the Chidakasha or the sky of the mind. The physical universe, or Mahakasha, is perceived and processed within this mental space. The highest subjective consciousness or awareness, which is the non-doing witness, merely perceives and is aware or conscious of all that is displayed in the Chidakasha. It is formless and all-pervading. This awareness is represented by Shiva and Shakti, symbolizing existence and consciousness, the inseparable factors of the non-dual whole. Krishna's teachings on the Supreme Self. In chapter 13, shloka 27 or 28 in some editions, Krishna says, Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyatva vinashyantam yah pashyati sapashyati. The person who truly sees is the one who sees the Paramatma or Supreme Self, existing equally in all beings, the unperishing within the perishing. This shloka conveys that a perceptive individual recognizes the presence of the Supreme Self within all beings, the unperishing reality within the perishing. In shloka 15.8, Krishna explains that when the Atman assumes a body, it carries the mind and senses from the previous body, akin to the wind carrying various odors. This analogy suggests continuity, but not in the literal sense of a separate soul traveling from one body to another. Genetic inheritance and the continuity of life. Taking Krishna's words literally, that the Atman carries the mind and senses from one body to another, would imply that a deceased person's soul transmigrates into a new body. This notion suggests that the mind and senses of the deceased enter the body of a child still in the fetal stage. While this idea might sound captivating, it lacks logical coherence. In reality, when a child is conceived and its embryo's diploid forms, it receives a wealth of information about physical features, personality traits, life patterns, and talents from both parents and their respective ancestors. Thus, we could say that the term previous body does not relate to a former host body of a soul and its elements, rather it pertains to a person's ancestors who transmit their mind and five senses through genes. The varied amalgamation of inherited genetic information explains the distinctive differences observed even among siblings. Applying the philosophy in our lives. So, how do we apply this philosophy in our lives? The natural principle of cause and effect extends its influence not only over the physical world, but also over our thoughts. Every action begins in the mind. One thought sets the stage for another, creating a chain reaction, thus practicing responsibility consistently with an awareness that every thought, word and deed generates karma serves as a shield, not just for the individual, but also influences the trajectory of future generations descending from them. The cycle of life and death. Every entity, whether living or non-living, existing in space, is composed of atoms, each containing its own space. Living beings function as independent organic systems, with the failure of primary organs leading to the cessation of cohesive functioning of the systems. Death marks the end of the body, but not of the essence within every atom. Krishna's discourse on death in chapter 2 likens the shedding of old bodies to discarding worn-out clothes for new ones. Every moment our cells regenerate, symbolizing death and rebirth. While this might sound inauspicious or unpleasant, the reality is that every moment of our lives has the potential to be our last. An accident, a natural disaster, a terrorist attack, a heart attack, a stroke, or a pulmonary embolism, or even choking can cause sudden death. The process of cell regeneration plays a crucial role in the continuation of life. Our bodies are composed of trillions of cells, each with a specific function. As cells age, get damaged or die, new cells replace them through regeneration. This ongoing renewal of cells is vital for growth, repair and maintenance of tissues and organs. Given this, I ask for the sake of argument, are we not dying and being born again every moment? Another extremely important fact concerns sleep. When we sleep, we have no awareness of what is going on with us or around us. Anything could happen to anyone while they're asleep. So when they wake up in the morning after a whole night's sleep, can it not be likened to being born again? Now, imagine going to bed seething with rage against someone. How do you think you would feel in the morning? It's quite natural that the thoughts you carried into the night will continue into the new day, permeating the first day of the rest of your life. Conversely, if you retire with good and warm thoughts, you will rise the next day with your mind carrying odors of those positive reflections from the previous night. Why does every newborn baby have their own traits and fundamental nature even before their family has taught them anything at all? How is it that certain children turn out to be child prodigies? It's because of the genetic traits they carry. True devotion and faith. Devotion, as described in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, is not about religious practices, but about love, loyalty, enthusiasm, and commitment. Think about it. An artist, musician, architect, builder, teacher, doctor, nurse, motorcycle or car racer, gardener, parent who deeply loves his or her children, or anyone who sincerely loves his or her work is automatically devoted to it. In such devotion, the factor of devotion usually used in religion does not exist. This devotion extends to all aspects of life, our roles, relationships, and work. True faith develops from knowledge and experience that something works in a certain way. In this context, faith represents the overall confidence in one's philosophy of life, of course, shaped by inherited traits, upbringing, education, and experiences. The non-dual reality. Ultimately, all existence is one. The perceived differences are mere forms of the non-dual divine principle of existence and awareness. Recognizing this oneness dispels the illusion of separation, leading to a profound sense of peace and clarity. What dies is the individual with a body-based identity, but not the all-pervading self that temporarily manifested in the form of an individual until the moment of the physical body's death. Conclusion. As we conclude this journey, let us embrace the wisdom that our true self is the same all-pervading consciousness manifesting in myriad forms. This understanding, rooted in the Upanishads and the teachings of Krishna, brings clarity and serenity. By recognizing the oneness of all existence, we attain a state of inner calm, free from the myths and misconceptions of life, death, the soul, and the so-called afterlife. Shloka 71 and 72 from the second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Vihaya kaman yas sarvan pumam charati nisprahaha nirmamo nirahankaraha sashanti madhigacchati Isha brahmi sthithit partha nainam prapya vimuhyati sthitva syamantakalepi brahma nirvana vrichyati. The person who has renounced attachment to all sense objects lives with no sense of ownership, and he is free from false pride, thus attaining peace. This spiritual state or Brahmi state or Partha removes confusion from the mind. This state of mind of a person at the time of death helps one attain Nirvana, the Supreme Brahman. All is one. You and I are one. What we call you and me are merely seemingly different waves in the ocean of existence. Thank you. Jai Shri Krishna.